We're playing a brand new card from Duskmourn, Demonic Counsel, the closest thing that's ever been printed in Modern to Demonic Tutor. Let's go check it out. This video is proudly sponsored by Card Market. What exactly is this new Demonic Tutor? Well, it is actually Demonic Counsel, a 2-mana sorcery from Duskmourn, where you search your library for a demon card. Or if you have Delirium, you can search your deck for any card. What exactly is Delirium? Well, it's having 4 card types in your graveyard, such as Creature, Artifact, Instant, and Sorcery. As you can see, it's pretty easy to assemble in this deck with efficient cantrips and cards that put themselves to the graveyard. And then you just search your deck for any card you need, like, I don't know, Lotus Field or Underworld Breach. So I know that a lot of people love Twiddle Storm, and in fact, I featured that deck recently. You can find that video in the card above. But this is Lotus Breach. It's a little bit different. Yes, you're still a deck that abuses Twiddle and Underworld Breach and Lotus Field, but we're not playing the One Ring. We're not really looking to play hidden strings and things like that. Instead, this deck is more graveyard based. It's a more efficient combo. It doesn't draw cards, so it doesn't care about Orcish Bowmasters, that sort of thing. You're really an Underworld Breach deck. And Demonic Counsel is so good here because it creates better lines like the one with Wish. So if you're familiar with the deck, you'll already know this, but with Lotus Field in play, you can play 2 copies of Twiddle. You play Wish, you get your Underworld Breach, and then you can escape Twiddle twice, escape the Wish, go get Tome Scour, and win the game. So you need 6 mana and at least 10 cards in your graveyard. Well, with Demonic Counsel, you can now accomplish that with 5 mana, because it's 1 less mana than Wish, and, you know, you need a similar number of cards in the graveyard, but Demonic Counsel can get the job done. So that is why we're looking to play this card today. But really, it's the ability to grab Lotus Field on turn 2 or turn 3 over something like Wishclaw Talisman, where you have to give it to your opponent and then they can go get Damping Sphere or something like that. So this is a pretty big upgrade over Wishclaw Talisman. It can also find silver bullets, such as Pact of Negation, or your Sink in a Stupor to bounce a hate permanent that might be preventing you from winning the game. So in order to really make this card efficient, we've changed our deck a little bit. We're playing things like Thoughtseize in the main deck now, so that way we have more copies of Sorcery. Street Wraith is back because it helps create Delirium. We're on a pretty low land count. You'll see that there's 16 actual lands plus 2 copies of Sink in a Stupor. Because we're playing 4 Mishra's Bauble and 4 Street Wraith, that way we can find that second land more consistently. We do have a basic swamp in the sideboard. This is so that you can be Blood Moon decks or Harbinger of the Seas. We have Pact of Negation for blue decks. We have Slaughter Pact for creature decks, like ones with Magus of the Moon, Harbinger of the Seas, Drannith Magistrate, Magebane Lizard, all those sort of things. You want to leave 1 in the sideboard for Wish, but then you can bring 1 into the main deck for Demonic Counsel, which, you know, having these silver bullets goes a long way. We have the recent upgrade into the Flood Maw that can answer anything from Deafening Silence, Damping Sphere, to all those problematic creatures that I just mentioned. And eventually, we win the game using Thassa's Oracle or a Grape Shot, after you mill your entire library with Tome Scour. That is the idea. That is Lotus Breach. Stick around and see it in action. I hope that this Demonic Tutor effect is as good as I think it is. Let's go find out. I'll see you in the first match. Don't go anywhere. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicsforum.com/shop, or submitting a donation deck via theepicsforum.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Welcome to round number 1. We're on the draw, and I'm going to keep. So we have double Lotus Field, which is sort of like a mulligan to 6. So I could mulligan this, but we have Lotus Field and lands to sacrifice. I mean, I just think that this hand is good enough. So we're going to keep it. And in reality, we're an Underworld Breach away from greatness. So if we can find Underworld Breach in the first 2 turns, well, really 3, we have a win. So let's see if we can just find the Underworld Breach, because we have everything else we need. Our opponent plays a first turn Blood Crypt, Gravecrawler, okay. Otherworldly Gaze is a great find. Okay, so we have a number of looks for that Underworld Breach now. They swing with the Gravecrawler, will fall to 18. Verdant Catacombs, another Gravecrawler. On the end step, I'm actually just going to grab my Surveil land here. In theory, I could do Watery Grave, trying to dig for Demonic Counsel, and then Otherworldly Gaze plus Street Wraith, so that way I have it, but then I lose to a discard spell. So I think I'm going to try to keep the card we want on top with the Otherworldly Gaze, so that way I can dodge a discard spell versus this black deck. We'll put the land to the graveyard. Okay, now we'll untap. We find another fetch land. We'll play that and pass the turn. We do not have another Surveil land. There is only one. There's just not enough room in the mana base to fit two. Plus, our deck has a number of 1-drops. You don't want to open up on tap lands all the time. It's going to be a little weird. They pick up a Raucous Theater, and they kept the card on top. Okay, they play a land. Now they're going to attack for 4. Sure, we'll fall to 13 life. That's fine. On the end step, we'll fetch, grab a basic island, and we'll Otherworldly Gaze. I'm going to bin everything here. And I could cycle the Street Wraith hoping to hit. That puts me to 10. So I guess I'm dead if our opponent's hitting a double Lightning Bolt if I cycle the Street Wraith. I think I'll just take a draw then. We find another Twiddle. I probably should have played the Otherworldly Gaze in the upkeep. I just wasn't thinking. It's been a while since I played this deck, so I'm a little rusty. I'm going to just flash back the Otherworldly Gaze here. There's a Wish. That will, in fact, do it. So we're going to bury the Bauble. We'll put Dream's Grip on top. And then Wish. We'll play the Lotus Field. Sacrifice our 2 lands and pass the turn. So our opponent needs to deal us 12 damage in order to kill us here. End step Orcish Bowmasters. Well, I'm glad I didn't cycle Street Wraith. Okay, so that's going to put me down to 10. I'm sorry, 11. And now they have 6 power on board, so I'm still dead to double Lightning Bolt. I'm dead to Orcish Bowmasters plus Lightning Bolt here. So they're going to attack for 6. Sure. I go to 5. And it appears that they don't have it. So this should be pretty simple. We'll play Twiddle. Alright, and now we will tap for blue. Untap the Lotus Field. Tap it for red. And now we'll play Wish. Look at that tiny little sideboard. Let's expand it so we don't misclick. I'll cast an Underworld Breach. And now we'll Twiddle to untap our Lotus Field. And now we'll play a Tome Scour targeting me. And this is a deterministic loop where we cannot lose the game. So we're just going to keep on milling ourselves until eventually I can play a Thassa's Oracle or a Grape Shot for lethal. Storm is now 7. We'll Tome Scour again. Should probably leave the Pact of Negation so that way, if I need to counterspell something, I can. And now we'll untap our Lotus Field again. So it's always untap once with Twiddle, play 2 copies of Thought Scour, and when you do that, you gain a card in your graveyard every loop. And now we will Tome Scour again. We have 22 cards left in our deck. Play another Twiddle. Storm is now 12. We'll target ourselves with Tome Scour. Storm is now 13. Tome Scour. Storm is 14. Whoa, let's not accidentally misclick and lose. Alright, we will play Twiddle. Yes. And now we will Tome Scour. And we will Tome Scour again. So this is going to be our entire deck here. Storm is 17. And now we will escape Twiddle twice, play Wish into Thassa's Oracle. So you might be saying, why not Grape Shot? And you could Grape Shot. For the most part, Grape Shot was likely to win this entire game. That said, Thassa's Oracle is sort of dummy-proof, where if for some reason our opponent can gain a bunch of life, it plays around that. And I'd rather have that option of playing around a weird situation which our opponent can gain that life. We'll make red mana. Let's play Wish. Exile Wish, Dream's Grip, and a Mishra's Bauble. And now we will play Thassa's Oracle. Trigger on the Thassa's Oracle with no library. Even if our opponent has creature removal here, it doesn't save them. Another Orcish Bowmasters. Sure. We're not drawing cards. We are not the One Ring. They target their own Gravecrawler, sure. Like, if we were the build with the One Ring, it would have been a little tough this game. Like, the Wish, that deck also has the Wish Breach Tome Scour win, don't get me wrong, but it has a slightly more difficult time beating Orcish Bowmasters, where here we just won through it. So we've won game number 1, but we did not get to play the new card, unfortunately. Let's see if we can change that in game number 2. Let's switch this out of pile view and back to card view, which is what I prefer. All right, and then we'll expand it just a hair. Beautiful. Okay, so we're facing a deck that could have Blood Moon, so I'm somewhat interested in my basic swamp. I want my copies of Into the Flood Maw. That's 64 cards. I'm not sure if we need a Pact of Negation. Like, it's good against a card like Surgical, but they're more likely to have permanent-based hate, so I sort of want... we're going to leave one copy of Into the Flood Maw on the sideboard for Wish, by the way, and then we'll bring in the Echoing Truth. I sort of just want answers, I guess. Like, I'm not sure how good Pact of Negation really is. That said, I do think I want to board out Thoughtseize. So the question is, do you want one Pact in your deck? Do you want the extra Into the Flood Maw? Or you could even bring in a Slaughter Pact if you think that they have Magebane Lizard. Those are all reasonable options. I think I'm going to do Into the Flood Maw and accept that my Wish isn't going to be a very good answer card. Good hand. It does need a second land, but I think that this is worth keeping. First turn, Bloodstained Mire. They search out a Blood Crypt. Thoughtseize. Admittedly, I was F6'd. I could have cycled my Street Wraith in response, but I don't know. I don't think that they were ever going to take Street Wraith anyway. Alright, we draw Otherworldly Gaze. That's pretty good. We are going to just play this Polluted Delta and pass. Actually, no, I'm going to play a cantrip now. I think I want to get ahead of Orcish Bowmasters, so let's play our Preordain. We'll put the Geese on the bottom. We'll take the Mishra's Bauble. We'll play the Bauble. And then let's look at their top card. Marionette Apprentice. And let's cycle Street Wraith, just to get ahead of Orcish Bowmasters. We find another Twiddle. I guess it's our first Twiddle, I lied. And now we'll draw off the Mishra's Bauble. It technically is a second land, but not one that I want. So we need to find another land that isn't Lotus Field. And here they're just going to hold open Orcish Bowmasters. Once again, I should have in my upkeep Otherworldly Gazed. I gotta get better about this, because I'm just like too busy narrating and not thinking. I am going to pass. And now there's the Bowmasters. We'll play Consider. Get rid of the Demonic Counsel. Another Lotus Field. No! Why are you like this, deck? I opened up such a good hand and you're just punishing me. They play the Marionette Apprentice. Sure. And now they'll attack for 2. I'll follow the 14. You've got it. In our upkeep, let's play Otherworldly Gaze. We did not find another land. Wow. All 3 of those can go into the graveyard. We'll draw for turn. There we go. Alright, so if I play Watery Grave here, untapped, I go to 12. They have 4 damage in play. I play Preordain. I go to 10. They go to 6. I think I'm supposed to play Preordain here. Alright, I go to 12. Preordain's going to knock me down to essentially 10 when this creature gets bigger. Neither of these help me win the game. We'll put them both on the bottom. I need a Twiddle. Mishra's Bauble. Alright, we'll play the Bauble. Pass the turn. So this is 5 damage on board. So this puts me down to 6. Magebane Lizard. So they did have a Magebane. I am probably just dead here. I don't think I'm going to be able to beat the Lizard. I would need like 2 perfect draws here. Well, there was 1. So now I would need like an Into the Flood Maw. Yeah, we're not going to be able to beat this. Okay. Next game. I mean, I had a good draw and then I drew a bunch of Lotus Fields. It happens. So I could bring in the Slaughter Pact over one of the bounce spells. That is an option. Let's try this out. Alright, on the play for game 3. Once again, we've opened on double Lotus Field, but I do think the rest of the hand is reasonable enough, so we're going to keep it. Typically, the number of Lotus Fields you want is 1. Just throwing that out there. You don't want 2 or 3 like last game, just the 1. Alright, so we'll start on the Misty Rainforest. And let's go get our Watery Grave for Demonic Counsel. And this is a hand where I could, in theory, play Demonic Counsel on turn 2. We're going to bottom both of these. We'll play Mishra's Bauble. And let's pass the turn. In their upkeep, let's look at the top card. Gravecrawler. Okay. They play an Underground Mortuary. And now we'll draw off the Bauble. So the question is, do I want to play Otherworldly Gaze in the upkeep? If I draw Demonic Counsel, it's a really big feels bad, because I could play Demonic Counsel on turn 2. So I'm going to take a normal draw here. It's Street Wraith. We'll cycle a Street Wraith down to 15. And there's Demonic Counsel. So we have Delirium on turn 2. We'll play the Demonic Counsel, and now we're looking at a turn 3 win. I will grab Underworld Breach. We will pass. They play a land. Gravecrawler. Okay. And another Gravecrawler. So if you don't have a Surgical, you're dead. But I'm not sure what they're up to. We have a Preordain. I'm going to cycle the Street Wraith. Another Demonic Counsel. I did not leave in the Pact. So we'll play Lotus Field. Sacrifice our lands. And now we'll play Dream's Grip, untapping the Lotus Field. We'll tap it for red. Let's play Underworld Breach. And now we're going to escape the Dream's Grip. Untap the Lotus Field. We'll get rid of a land, and a Street Wraith. Trying to keep Delirium in mind. Alright, so that just resolved. So if I tap this Demonic Counsel to go get Tome Scour, we don't have blue mana. So I need to find another way of making blue mana here. I'll play a Preordain. We're lagging a little bit. We're going to put both of these on the bottom. Neither of those help. And I will Dream's Grip with Escape. Untap the Lotus Field. Exile Preordain. Exile land. Exile Preordain. So now I have exactly Delirium. And I can go get my Tome Scour, but then I don't have blue. So we're going to play we're going to play Otherworldly Gaze. Wish. Twiddle. Slaughter Pact. So now we'll play the Twiddle. Exile Demonic... Actually, let's exile the Wish. Slaughter Pact. And Otherworldly Gaze. So now I believe we have it. So we'll tap this for black. We'll play Demonic Counsel. We'll go grab the Tome Scour. And now we have the loop. So we'll target ourselves. Play the Twiddle. Untap. Storm is 10. And at this point, it's just executing the loop until you can create the win. Alright, so I've successfully milled my entire library. We're going to make a mana using Twiddle. Untap our Lotus Field. And now we'll play Wish. And let's play Thassa's Oracle. Easy does it. Boom! Match number 1, Demonic Counsel was cast. I can say that. And now we're going to go to match number 2. I hope to see you there. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. Match number 2, we're on the play. Keep. So this hand, you don't really want 3 lands. That said, I think this hand has enough outs going on that I'm definitely interested in it. Okay, so we'll lead on a land. We'll play Mishra's Bauble, and then we'll look at our top card. I don't think I need another Twiddle, so we will fetch, grab an island, pass the turn. We'll draw off of Mishra's Bauble in the upkeep. Demonic Counsel. Okay, so that means that consider into Street Wraith means we have the ability to search for Lotus Field on turn 2. Guide of Souls. You got it. So likely an energy variant. We'll play Consider. Well, we don't need to search for Lotus Field anymore, so this can get Underworld Breach, and we should be looking at a pretty easy turn 3 win. Another Demonic Counsel. Wow. Alright, so we'll play Watery Grave, cycle the Street Wraith for a Wish, okay. And now we'll play Demonic Counsel. This gets Underworld Breach. We have the Delirium. We'll grab Underworld Breach, pass the turn. They play an Ocelot Pride. Don't care. Sure. And a Gravecrawler. Okay, you are dead. DED, dead. Alright, so we will make blue mana. Because we have to tap the Lotus Field for a red. I think in hindsight, maybe I was supposed to get the Steam Vents instead of the basic island, because then it makes winning with the Demonic Counsel a little bit easier. So I think that was an error, but oh well. We'll untap Lotus Field. Tap for red. We'll play Underworld Breach. We'll untap Lotus Field. Alright, and now we'll tap for blue again. Untap Lotus Field. We don't need the Demonic Counsel anymore because we have the Wish. So I didn't really have to put a whole lot of thought into it. And now we have Tome Scour, and this is the win. Deterministic. I was about to start doing the loop, but our opponent conceded. So Demonic Counsel looking pretty good so far. We're up a game over energy. Alright, so we likely want Into the Flood Maw. Probably want the Slaughter Packs. We probably want Echoing Truth. I am less married to Thoughtseize. Don't need the Pact Negation, and then one Slaughter Pack should stay in the sideboard for Wish. Let's try this out. Game number 2, we're on the draw, and we've opened up a hand where we have Sink in a Stupor as our only land. That said, the rest of the hand doesn't really do a whole lot, so I think that we should mulligan. Okay. This is interesting. I'm going to keep it, but I'm not sure what we're supposed to bottom. So Demonic Counsel does find our Lotus Field eventually. Wish doesn't, but Wish is better for later when we're trying to win off Escape than Demonic Counsel. I think I'm going to bottom the Wish, but I'm not 100% confident in this decision. They have a turn 1 Godless Shrine tapped. Okay. We redraw a Wish, so I guess my decision paid off. Alright, Preordain. We're going to keep both of these. Pass the turn. Bloodstained Mire into Thoughtseize. Okay. They take Underworld Breach with the Thoughtseize and are now passing the turn, so a slow start. We'll play Preordain. It's worth noting Underworld Breach does help us get to Delirium in the graveyard. I think we want to keep both of these. I'm going to cycle Street Wraith now, so that way I can't get hit by an Orcish Bowmasters. I'll play the island, and let's just consider now. Bobble. Sure, we'll take a Bobble. Helps with Delirium. Target you. Deafening Silence. Whoa. Come on, use that fetch land. Hey, yes, they fetched. And they pick up a Shadowy Backstreet. Guide of Souls to the graveyard. We draw a Polluted Delta. So now our Demonic Counsel can go find Lotus Field. They play the Warren Soul Trader. Sink in a Stupor. We'll fetch. Ouch. We'll grab Watery Grave. And now we'll play Demonic Counsel. Go find the Lotus Field. Pass the turn. So they're playing the Gravecrawler combo, which I would have guessed after seeing Gravecrawler in game number 1. But we have the Into the Flood Maw to break it up. Alright, well my opponent was just very honest and told me that Demonic Counsel is bugged. I shouldn't be showing my opponent the card that I get, but it is showing my opponent. So all of my opponents this league get to see what I search for with Demonic Counsel. We don't love that. We don't love that one bit. Alright, so next turn I can play Lotus Field. And if I do that, I float blue. We use Dream's Grip to untap. So that gives me 4 mana, 5 mana. Wish needs 6. So I don't think I want to use this into the Flood Maw yet. Alright, we'll untap. We draw a Misty Rainforest. We will pass the turn. They're drawing a card for turn. We're going to bounce one of these Warren Soul Traders, just so that way my life total doesn't get too low. And I'll take 3 down to 7. They replay the Warren Soul Trader, that's fine with me. Another land. They have 2 cards in hand, and they haven't been playing much. So it makes me worried about graveyard hate, but I'm not sure if there's a whole lot I can do to play around it. We don't need another land. That can go to the graveyard. We'll draw for turn. Preordain. There's a pause in my draw step, so that I think they have a Surgical. We'll play Preordain. We'll put both of these on the bottom. Otherworldly Gaze. That didn't really help. Alright. No, oh! I just messed up. Whoops. Yeah, I just messed up. I didn't mean to play that land. That's awkward. Okay, so I'm in a bit of a pickle now. because I need to use my Dream Script to tap their creature to stay alive. They play Gravecrawler. They create a treasure token, and now they can replay the Gravecrawler. Yep. So they're just going to make a bunch of treasure tokens here, sure. You've got it. So they're just sacking and replaying the same Gravecrawler and losing life. What I don't see is, what is the payoff for doing this? Is it like Gravestorm? And now they go to beginning of combat. We're going to have to tap one of their creatures here, because I messed up. So we go to 3 life. Oh, the Spymaster's Vault. It was an onboard trick. So that's what that card does. Okay. The more you know. So yeah, my misplay definitely cost us this game. That's unfortunate. Alright, so we lose this one. I'm going to just resubmit here. Try to play a little bit better. That was really bad on my part. Sure, so we need to find another land, but other than that, this hand is very good. Once again, always double Lotus Field, 100% of the time. It's either 2 or none. Our opponent with a very aggressive mulligan to 5. We did see Deafening Silence out of their deck in game number 2. We'll play Flooded Strand and pass the turn. Basic Plains into Ocelot Pride, sure. We'll grab Watery Grave, ouch. Let's play Otherworldly Gaze, digging for that land. We find it and Underworld Breach. It's everything we want. Sign me up. We'll play the Steam Vents tapped. Pass the turn. Another Ocelot Pride. Bloodstained Mire. No follow-up. They just go straight to the end step. I think I'm going to... No, we'll take a draw here. Because in theory, I could draw into the win. Because I don't have the Tome Scour yet. That's the missing piece. We draw another land. I'm going to decide to not be too aggressive here. I could try to get a win with Otherworldly Gaze, but it involves like finding the Tome Scour very early in the win. So instead, I'm going to be a little bit more disciplined here and try to just... We'll surveil with our surveil land. We have Otherworldly Gaze. I have an Into the Flood Moth. They play something like a Deafening Silence or Damping Sphere. Land number 3. They swing for 4. We'll go to 12. You mulligan to 5. Did you find a hate piece or not? War and Soul Trader. That's fine. Apparently they did not find a hate piece that I know of. So in the end step, we'll fetch down to 11. Grab the Undercity Sewers. I'm going to put this to the graveyard because I think we lose to Surgical Extraction no matter what, so why bother keeping that? And then we'll escape the Otherworldly Gaze. All of these can go to the graveyard. So now Consider is our only payoff for this Underworld Breach. We really need to find Tome Scour. We draw another land. Alright, well I'm at 11. I don't know if I have a whole lot of time to sit here and twiddle my thumbs. We'll play Underworld Breach. Play the Lotus Field. Sacrifice 2 lands. We'll play Twiddle from hand and untap the Lotus Field. And now let's play Consider. Demonic Counsel. So right now we have instant, land, enchantment. Oddly enough, this isn't good enough. I think I'm actually supposed to mill the Demonic Counsel. We hit Wish. Okay. I think Wish might be. We have 9 cards in graveyard. We'll twiddle our Lotus Field. And now we'll twiddle Lotus Field again. And now we'll play the Wish. And Tome Scour. We got there. Woo. Alright, good stuff. We're now 2-0 to start off this modern league featuring Demonic Counsel. Not a bad start. Let's see if we can get the next 3. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Token Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $14.99. This combo token pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens. That includes our classic Storm and mana tokens, as well as fan favorites such as Goblins, Squirrels, and Slime Time Live. But that's not all. We've expanded this token pack to cover a variety of formats with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. We are on the play again for the 3rd match. No lands, no keep. This isn't terrible. I think I'm going to get rid of Sink into Stupor here. Our opponent has also taken a mulligan. Now all the way down to 5. They reveal a Devourer of Destiny. We'll play Watery Grave. Ouch. And turn 1 Thoughtseize. Well, that's certainly a hand. We'll take the Thought-Knot Seer. Pass the turn. Devourer of Destiny. They did not take Kozilek's Command, Glaring Fleshraker, or Sowing Mycospawn. So they probably took a land. Well, that was a good draw. Let's find out. They did take a land. We'll take the It That Heralds the End. We'll play Misty Rainforest to pass the turn. We're at 14, so our life total is a little low here. And they drew a Glaring Fleshraker. I am living on borrowed time right now. Alright, we go down to 12. Next turn, they're hitting me for 5. We'll grab Undercity Sewers. Get rid of the Mishra's Bauble. Okay. We find Twiddle. I think I'm supposed to cycle the Street Wraith in case I hit the Demonic Counsel. Otherworldly Gaze. Okay, well, there's a chance with Otherworldly Gaze where if we hit Lotus Field. So I'll take 5. I'm at 4. End step will fetch. So I can go to 1 and get Steam Vents, which might make winning with Underworld Breach a little easier. But I wonder if I'm actually just locked out of the game. Because even if I find the Lotus Field, we don't have enough to win with Wish. So I don't think I'm actually allowed to get the Steam Vents. So I'll play Otherworldly Gaze. None of these do it. We'll take a draw. We'll play this as a land. I think I'm actually just locked. Our opponent on a mulligan to 5 is going to take game number 1. We just did ourselves too much damage. And we're dead. Okay, so that did not go according to plan. Brutal. Okay, well, I do want some number of Echoing Truth. I don't think Thoughtseize is amazing when our opponent's trying to beat us down that quickly. Might want the Swamp just for extra consistency. We'll leave it into the Flood Maw. I do want the Pact of Negation because it stops Kozilek's Command. Let's try this. I think that this is a reasonable place to start for game number 2. Sure. This hand is just like a Lotus Field away from greatness. They reveal double Devourer of Destiny. We'll play Undercity Sewers. I'll take a Demonic Counsel. Okay. Those are the cards they put into the bottom? Exile? They exiled these, so these cards are all in exile. They have Eldrazi Temple. We're going to play the Flooded Strand and pass. They have a Cavern of Souls. They name Eldrazi, surprise, surprise. Glaring Fleshraker. Alright, on the end step, we're going to go grab our Steam Vents. And I know that it seems a little far-fetched, but if we hit off of Consider plus Otherworldly Gaze, we're actually in a spot where we could win here. So I'm looking for a Lotus Field. We don't need a Bauble. Into the Flood Maw. And now we'll play Otherworldly Gaze. We did not find the Lotus Field I was looking for. That said, we did hit Delirium, so not the worst. Oh, well, we did hit Lotus Field. How about that? All right, so how do we want to do this? So I could tap for... Well, this would be red. This would be blue. I just want to think through my options here. We'll play the Lotus Field. Sacrifice 2 lands. So we have 9 cards. I could play Dream's Grip, play Breach floating 2 blue. And then I would need to Twiddle. And then we'd have to make the Lotus Field tap for black. I think we can do this. I could be wrong, but I think we can do it. Alright, I'm just going to go for it. I'm not smart enough to do this in my head. Untap Lotus Field. Tap for blue. Underworld Breach. And now we're going to untap the Lotus Field. We can just exile a bunch of lands here because we have a lot of lands. And now this taps for black. We'll play Demonic Counsel. This goes and gets Tome Scour. And then after this, we don't have to care about Delirium. And now we use the Dream Script to untap. Untap the Lotus Field. We can just exile whatever we want now. Okay, and now we have the loop. So I'll play Tome Scour targeting us. Tome Scour again. Dream's Grip to untap our Lotus Field. Tome Scour. Alright, you probably don't need to hear me narrate this entire thing, so I'll just quit talking until I've decked myself. Our opponent offered to concede for the sake of the content. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And now we're going to game number 3. I can't explain why, but I think I want a second Pact of Negation for the Kozilek's command. Oh, we'll get rid of a Consider. Let's try this. Good. Yeah, keep. Love it. Eldrazi Temple. No play. Alright, we'll play Polluted Delta, Mishra's Bauble. Gotta get that Delirium. Target myself. We do not need another Into the Flood Maw. We will fetch, grab the Watery Grave, and pass. In their upkeep, let's Otherworldly Gaze so that way I'm drawing a sculpted card and not a random card. We don't want any of these. I mean, Tome Scour to the graveyard is not bad for us. It takes away one thing I need to find with this combo. And now we'll draw. Not a bad random card. Alright, so now we're literally just a Lotus Field away. Ugin's Labyrinth. Looks like I did myself a disservice by drawing a good card there. Thought-Knot-Seer. This is going to take our Underworld Breach. And they do take the Breach. Considers the draw. I'll play the island. We'll pass the turn. We can always use Into the Flood Maw at some point as a bad cantrip to draw a card by bouncing the Thought-Knot-Seer. We'll take 4 here going down to 13. They play a Secluded Courtyard as land number 3. Post-combat Eldrazi Linebreaker. That's a little weird. Maybe they thought that I might have bounced the Thought-Knot-Seer and that's why they did it. We'll play Consider. Get rid of Preordain. Another Dream's Grip. Let's play Otherworldly Gaze. Demonic Counsel finds our Lotus Field. So my problem is, I guess I could burn a Twiddle. Maybe that's the line. So we have instant, creature, sorcery, land, artifact. Yeah, we definitely have Delirium. So the fear is that I'm dead to our opponent playing like another Thought-Knot-Seer and giving it haste next turn. So they have 7 damage on board. If they play another creature and give it haste with the Linebreaker, I'm dead. So we could play Demonic Counsel. This gets Lotus Field. Play the Misty. And I can Into the Flood Maw to stay alive now. We'll fetch. So they can name Into the Flood Maw. So, like, am I supposed to just grab a Surveil land here? They have 1 card in their hand. I'm going to grab a Surveil. Because they know about the Into the Flood Maw. Get rid of the Steam Vents. I need them to not kill me, and I need to draw an Underworld Breach. They named Twiddle. Okay. Pretty sure any creature here kills me. They tap the Ugin's Labyrinth to put the Null Drifter back in their hand, and now they're going to evoke it. Okay. So, looks like I'm getting another turn here. They play a Forest. And now we'll go to 3. So we're in an interesting spot. So in the upkeep, I could play Otherworldly Gaze. The problem with playing Otherworldly Gaze in the upkeep is I have 1 mana open, so I need that to play the Lotus Field. And if I do that, there's no 1 draw that wins me the game. So I think I'm supposed to just take a random draw here and hope that it's good enough, and Street Wraith is obviously not good enough. So what do I do now? Cycle down to 1 card or 1 life and pray that it's Underworld Breach? So hypothetically, let's just think through this. I play the Lotus Field. I play I play Dream's Grip. Untap, tap this for red. I'd still have... So then I'd have 1 blue, 3 red. I could then flash back Otherworldly Gaze floating 2 red. And then cycle Street Wraith into Breach. That would Breach would have to be in the top 3 cards of our deck. We have 2 of them in our deck right now. Alright, so we'll play Lotus Field. Maybe Street Wraith wasn't a bad draw. I could also Into the Flood Maw the Disruptor Flute to make mana if I need to, but then I don't get to draw a card off it. Alright, so let's just talk through this one more time. So I could flash back Otherworldly Gaze. I'd have 2 red floating. I'd have to hit exactly Underworld Breach. And then cycle Street Wraith into Underworld Breach. And I'd have just the untapped Watery Grave. If I do the Into the Flood Maw line, and then play Twiddle, it essentially makes 1 more mana, so I'd have 2 open mana. So then 2 open mana doesn't change anything. I'd still have to hit Underworld Breach, because Demonic Counsel and Wish wouldn't do it, because I don't have enough mana. This is a really interesting game. Alright, let's go for it. Otherworldly Gaze. We hit the Breach! We hit the Breach! We hit the Breach! Let's go! Breach on top. Cycle Street Wraith down to 1. Play Underworld Breach. Wow. Untap. I can't believe we hit. We already have the Tome Scour in the graveyard. We'll bounce the Disruptor Flute, giving our opponent a tapped fish. Twiddle the Lotus Field. And now we can tap the Lotus Field for 3 blue. Play the Tome Scour. And that's the match. A little bit of luck, and now we're 3-0. 2 matches left to go. If you're still watching, make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. While you're near the description, here's a reminder to use our affiliate links if you're going to make a purchase from Amazon, Card Hoarder, or TCG Player. Just above those affiliate links, you'll find our social channels. Make sure to join those to connect with us. We are back for the 4th match. On the play. Sure, this seems very reasonable. Keep. We'll play Polluted Delta. Let's play the Mishra's Bauble. Because if I like the top card, I can always cycle into it before playing Preordain. So let's look. Do I like Basic Island? Not very much. We'll fetch. Grab the Watery Grave. Ouch. And Preordain. We don't need either of these, and I already have Delirium next turn if we can find a Demonic Counsel. Instead, we draw into a land. We will pass. Draw off the Bauble. Another Preordain. Okay. They play an island and do Aether Vial, so maybe Merfolk. Thoughtseize. That's honestly not bad here. Let's play the Thoughtseize. And it is, in fact, Merfolk. They have a Flare of Denial, a Hexcatcher. I think the easiest thing to beat will be the Flare of Denial, so we'll take the Hexcatcher. Definitely a tough matchup for us here. We'll go all the way down to 13. Play Preordain. What we want to find is like a Twiddle and a Lotus Field. Well, we found half of that, so we'll take the Lotus Field. Pass the turn. I mean, we're a Twiddle away from beating Merfolk, assuming that they don't draw a flash creature or a 1-drop, because I have to be able to beat the Flare of Denial. Cavern of Souls. Alright, let's see a Twiddle. Pretty please. That's a Twiddle. Let's cycle Street Wraith. So we have a turn 3 win here. Pact of Negation? Come on, Pact of Negation. Cycle the Street Wraith again. Consider. Alright, so we'll play Lotus Field. Sacrifice our lands. Let's play Twiddle untapping the Lotus Field. Yes. And now we'll tap for blue. Play Underworld Breach. Did you draw it? It resolves! Alright, so now we'll play Twiddle on Lotus Field. Let's go! Untap. Okay, and now we will Twiddle again. Yes. I'm going to use a blue here to consider, because if we hit another Twiddle, I could actually Thoughtseize in the middle. Pact of Negation. Okay, well, we hit the thing that's amazing here. Alright, so we'll Twiddle. We actually would have beaten a creature if they had drawn one with the way that because we could have considered in response. Kind of nuts. Alright, and now turn 3 with backup. This deck is nutty. And now we play the Tome Scour. Target ourselves. We have the loop. And now we'll Twiddle. Untap. Tome Scour. Tome Scour again. Alright, you really don't need to hear me narrate all of this, so once again, I'll be back in a second. Alright, so we're at the end of the road. What's something kind of interesting in this spot is we have 15 cards in our graveyard. There's 3 cards left in our deck. So because we're playing a Grape Shot on the sideboard, we can actually win here by going Twiddle, Twiddle, making black, and then making red, and then wish into Grape Shot for lethal, and have Thoughtseize to beat like a random top deck. So now we'll play Thoughtseize. We'll take the Tidebinder. And now I can play Twiddle, untapping the Lotus Field. Yes. Tap it for red. And now we'll play Wish. Exile some cards. And we'll cast Grape Shot. So this is how you beat Consign to Memory, by the way, is that our deck has Thoughtseize in it now. And Thoughtseize not only helps you with Delirium for the Demonic Counsel, it helps you beat Consign to Memory and other stifle effects. So we just had a turn 3 with multiple layers of protection for various things, which is pretty incredible. And yeah, that's game number 1 versus Merfolk. Sweet. Alright, so I definitely want more copies of Pact of Negation, because it counters Force of Negation, but also Flare of Denial, all sorts of stuff. And I think I want the Slaughter Packs. Very interactive matchup. What I think I'm less high on is Otherworldly Gaze, because this is a matchup where there's just so many layers to fight through. I don't think you can afford card disadvantage. And that leaves us at 61. I think they're a Harbinger of the Seas deck, so I think we want the basic Swamp. So let's board out Considers. This is going to make getting Delirium for Demonic Counsel harder because we don't have Consider or Otherworldly Gaze, but I don't think we're going to get turn 3s with backup easily against Merfolk. So this is what I think we should run with. You could also look at siding in a win condition in order to beat, Surgical or something. I don't know if that's what we want to do here, though. Let's just try this. Double Lotus Field, classic. We'll take a mulligan. Sure, we'll keep and bottom Twiddle. Island into Aether Vial. Yep. Another Pact of Negation. We probably didn't need that. We'll grab our basic, play Mishra's Bauble, target them. Hexcatcher, that's lovely. We'll play Preordain. Bottom both of these. Things are not looking good at the moment. We draw a card off the Bauble. It's the basic Swamp. Not the worst. So now we're looking for a Lotus Field. They play a Rishadan Dockhand, so they didn't have land number 2 for the Hexcatcher. We draw Sink into Stupor. Let's play the Thoughtseize. They activate Aether Vial for another Rishadan Dockhand. They have double Harbinger of the Seas. We'll take the Hexcatcher. So this means that I need to draw a Lotus Field ASAP. Because when this Vial gets to 3, we probably just lose the game. And the Echoing Truth is in my sideboard. So I'd have to wish into Echoing Truth against 2 Rishadan Dockhands. Lord of Atlantis. Okay, so they're just going beatdown mode, I guess. And they swing. Why would you play this? Did you draw another... Did you draw a Hexcatcher? I mean, I could try to bounce the Vial here, so that way they can't play the Hexcatcher. Or I'm sorry, they can't play the Harbingers. I would also need our opponent to not draw into land number 3. But I think it's a line that is capable of winning, where if we just pass, that's not the case. Okay. So this gives me a 1-turn window to draw into exactly Lotus Field. And they drew the land for the Harbinger. Okay. Brutal. And we did not draw the Lotus Field anyway. Alright, off to game 3. Should I have bounce spells in the deck for the Harbingers? We already have the Slaughter Packs. I don't think so, because they're an Aether Vial deck. I think Slaughter Pact is just better. Alright, so I need to draw better. I mean, we were close that game. We just needed a good draw here or there. Now we're on the play for game 3. Ugh. I suppose so, but I don't love this. We'll play Undercity Sewers, Surveil. Oh, well that was actually delightful. Okay. They play Mutavault into Aether Vial, yep. We'll play the Swamp. Nothing to get with Demonic Counsel. We do not have Delirium. They did not have another land. We drew Lotus Field, let's play it. We did not need back-to-back Lotus Fields. No 1-drop off of the Aether Vial. My best draw is probably like Tome Scour. I'm not really sure. They drew another Mutavault. Damping Sphere. That was not a card I was prepared for. We just lost. We will now cycle Street Wraith. I mean, I don't even have an answer in my main deck for this. I guess I have Sink into Stupors. Seems pretty unlikely to resolve, though. We will pass. They activate the Aether Vial. Alright, I am never beating the Hexcatcher, so I'm going to go ahead and concede. I was dreaming of a 5-0 with Demonic Counsel, but we got paired into a nightmare matchup. There's no way any variant of Modern Storm beats this. So, we got lucky with game number 1, but we did not get lucky in the post-board game, so we are now 3-1. With Card Hoarder, renting your favorite combo deck has never been easier. There isn't a more affordable solution for Magic Online. Want to play the deck in this video? Check out the pinned comment below to easily rent the deck from Card Hoarder. Did you know you can rent the Epic Storm from Card Hoarder for as little as 7 tickets a week? The final match, we're on the draw. We will keep, and let's see what we're up against here. Devourer of Destiny, likely Eldrazi again. They've exiled Emrakul. We're facing the red-green Breach deck. Okay. They exile the Devourer of Destiny. Talisman of Impulse. Okay. They have 4 remaining cards. Another Demonic Counsel. Not a terrible draw. We will play Thoughtseize. Let's take the Sowing Myco spawn. The rest of their hand really doesn't do much. They play the land and Talisman of Impulse. Okay. Another Preordain. We will fetch. Ouch. Going to go all the way down to 13. So I won't lie to you, when I was building the sideboard, I thought about putting Death Shadow in there as a sideboard juke, because our deck is so good at losing life. Do I want the Tome Scour? I mean, we do need one. I think I'm supposed to keep it here. And then I'll play Preordain. The Bauble gives us, or puts us near Delirium. I'll keep the Bauble. No, he does give us Delirium with the Street Wraith. We'll look at their top card. Through the Breach. Well, that is terrifying. Alright, pass the turn. They have 5 mana too, so if their one unknown... Oh, that was an amazing draw. Let's draw a Twiddle now. If their one unknown is a giant monster, we're dead. No. No way. No! Their one unknown was lethal! What a shame. They hit back-to-back runners. Sometimes you lose in Magic. That's just how it goes. Devastating. Okay. Ugh. That was rough. Okay, so we probably want the Echoing Truth. Alright, so I think we want one bounce spell and then another Pact of Negation just for Kozlok's command, and we'll board out Consider. Let's try this. Have to hope for a better result. I mean, we got a little bit unlucky there, but that is Magic. No need to be upset, just gotta focus on winning the next two. Alright, so on the play. Sure, good hand. All this needs is a Lotus Field. We'll play Polluted Delta, play the Bauble. Let's look at their top card. Sowing Myco spawn. Okay, we'll fetch. Grab the Watery Grave. Ouch. And Thoughtseize. So they have the combo. They have Through the Breach plus Ulamog. I think I might be able to beat Through the Breach, though. So I'm going to take the Kozlok's command, and we'll pass the turn. Draw off the Bauble. We draw Wish. I mean, all I need here is to find a Lotus Field. Another Preordain. Okay. We will fetch. We'll grab Steam Vents. Losing all that life. Preordain. So if I take the Street Wraith, it does give me Delirium if I find Demonic Counsel. I think I'm supposed to take the Street Wraith. And then we'll play Preordain. Bottom both of these. Alright, no Lotus Field. They play Beseiju. And do the Talisman. Ancient Stirrings. I know 3 of the 4 cards in their hand. Grove of the Burned Willow. So that gives them 4 mana towards Through the Breach next turn. I'm running out of time. And we hit the Lotus Field. Perfect. Alright, we got lucky and hit. So I go to 10. And now this should just be smooth sailing. Play the Lotus Field. Sacrifice, sacrifice. We'll play Twiddle. Untap. Twiddle. Untap. Play the Underworld Breach. We'll play Twiddle. Yes. Now I'll play the Wish. And the Tome Scour targeting me. And now we have the loop. Scour myself again. Okay, so I've gotten to the point where I have decked myself, and now we're going to win with Thassa's Oracle. So it's worth noting that some of these builds play Endurance in the sideboard, so I'm purposely winning with Endurance here because we can beat an Endurance. And I want our opponent to think that Endurance matters for game number 3, when I have 2 Pact of Negations in my deck and stuff like that. So I know that it seems a little silly, but I want them to think that Endurance can save them. So I want them to keep a hand that doesn't just kill me and instead has an Endurance. And there's these little mind games you can play with your opponent, which is basically what this is. Alright, so we'll play Wish and Thassa's Oracle. Trigger, and that's game number 2. So the final game of this league. Will we go 3-2? Will we go 4-1? We're about to find out. Our opponent kept 7. We will keep 7. I like having double Thoughtseize here. Ugin's Labyrinth. Sure. And they imprint an Ulamog. Terrifying. Because they can always get that back later. We'll play the Bauble. Let's look at their top card. Sowing Myco spawn. That's a good one for them. Watery Grave. Ouch. And play Thoughtseize. Magebane Lizard. Well, we're going to take that. And they have another Ulamog. Okay. We will pass the turn. Twiddle's not terrible. They play Cavern of Souls. So I could discard the Sowing Myco spawn here. Or I can just try to advance my own game plan. I think step one is I'm going to look at what my top cards are with this Preordain. I definitely want the Underworld Breach. The question is, what do I do with the Sowing Myco spawn? Do I discard it, or... Because I'm dead to a top-decked through the Breach no matter what, unless I hit the Defiler now. But they could always get another Defiler later with the Zugin's Labyrinth. So I think I'm actually going to just pass. They play Eldrazi Temple. The One Ring. I don't care about a One Ring. Yeah, sure. It does stop my Thoughtseize, but that's not the end of the world. So they could have Endurance, but I have Pact of Negation. So all we need here is a Lotus Field. Play Otherworldly Gaze. Oh, baby. That was good. All right, well, we found the Lotus Field. So the question is, are we going to be able to find the win? Because I don't have a Tome Scour yet. I think we're supposed to go for it. We'll play Lotus Field. Sacrifice our lands. Play Twiddle. Yes. And now we will through the Breach. Let's Twiddle. Yes. So I could play Otherworldly Gaze, or I can Preordain. I think Preordain's better. I'm going to lose Delirium almost no matter what. So I don't think it really matters. So we'll just exile whatever. Both of these stink. Put those on the bottom. We drew a land. That was brutal. So I think we're going to fizzle here. Maybe I was too aggressive. We'll flash back Otherworldly Gaze. We found another Breach. Okay. We'll take the other Breach. Play Preordain. Another Twiddle doesn't actually help me. Okay. So we have to pass now. That was not ideal. They draw a couple cards off the ring. Grove of the Burn Willows. Am I dead? It looks like it. They found through the Breach again. So we are in fact dead. Brutal. Alright, so our opponent got us 3-2. I mean, we had a chance to win this one. It just didn't happen. I was really impressed by Demonic Counsel. I don't know how you felt, but I think that this card is the real deal. I look forward to testing this more. I don't think my list was perfect. I can't help but wonder if there's something better than Consider. I think with Demonic Counsel, you really want 4 copies of Otherworldly Gaze. And here's another thing. I don't think my sideboard was perfect. I think cards like Ave are more wishful thinking than actually practical. So if you have ideas on how to remove some of the fluffs from the sideboard, I'm willing to hear your thoughts. I do like the basic swamp on the board just to play around Blood Moon and Harbinger of the Seas. Just so that way you can fetch for it, and then you can Demonic Counsel for your Slaughter Pact or whatever. Like, I think those are useful play patterns. But I do think that, like, Ave should probably be cut. Maybe something else over Consider. Let me know your thoughts. I'm interested in making this deck better. I really do believe that Demonic Counsel is broken. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, keep storming. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel. After you do that, open up our description where you can find all of our social media networks, including our Discord, where you can discuss today's deck in that Discord with me and tons of other combo masterminds. It's absolutely free to join, and it's certainly worth your while.